Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Today Journey. Thank you so much for being here. This is a place where we work on improving your English step by step, but it is also a place where we talk about important ideas that can help make your life better and clearer. I am really happy that you are spending this time with me today. Maybe you are listening at home while relaxing. Maybe you are walking outside. Maybe you are on a bus or train on your way to work or school. Or maybe you're just taking a short break from your busy day. No matter where you are right now, thank you for choosing to listen. I truly hope this episode will be helpful for you. Today's episode has two main goals. First, I hope it helps you understand yourself a little better. Second, I hope it gives you some useful and simple ways to practice your English. Learning English is not only about grammar and vocabulary. It is also about understanding your thoughts, feelings, and daily experiences. Now, let me ask you a very simple question. Have you ever felt stuck? What does stuck really mean? Being stuck is a feeling many people experience in life. It is that feeling when you are busy every day. You wake up in the morning. You go to work or school. You study. You take care of your family. You complete your responsibilities and do what you are supposed to do. From the outside, everything looks normal. You are active. You are moving. You are working and living your life. Other people may think you're doing fine. But inside, something does not feel right. Inside, it feels like your life is not moving forward. It feels like you are standing still, even though time keeps passing. It feels like your life is on pause. This feeling can appear in many different areas of life. For example, you might feel stuck in your job or career. You go to work every day, but you no longer feel excited. You feel tired, bored, or unmotivated. Another example is personal goals. Maybe you want to grow, change, or improve yourself, but you do not know what step to take next. And very often, people feel stuck when learning English. You study grammar. You learn new words. You practice again and again. But when it is time to speak, you feel nervous. You feel shy or unsure. You may feel that your progress is too slow or that you are not good enough. This can be very frustrating. If any of these situations sound familiar to you, then this episode is made especially for you. Today, we will talk about this uncomfortable feeling of being stuck. We will explore why it happens, how it shows up in our daily lives, and most importantly, what you can do to move forward and feel progress again. Moving forward, even in very small steps, is always possible. But first, there is something very important to understand. Feeling stuck is not always a bad thing. Many people think it is negative, but sometimes it is actually helpful. Feeling stuck can be a message. It can be a signal from your mind or your heart. It is your inner self telling you that something needs to change. That change could be in your daily habits. It could be in the way you think. Or it could be in the way you see yourself and your abilities. When this feeling appears, it is often asking you to stop for a moment and pay attention. I want to be very clear about something. Today's episode is not about quick motivation or happy quotes that make you feel good for a few minutes. This is not about pretending everything is fine. Instead, this is about slowing down. It is about taking time to reflect and to look honestly inside yourself. It is about noticing the thoughts and feelings that may be holding you back without you realizing it. These thoughts can include self-doubt, where you question your own abilities. They can include perfectionism, where you feel that everything must be perfect before you start. Or they can include fear of failure, where you are afraid to try because you do not want to make mistakes. When you begin to notice these thoughts, something important happens. You gain awareness. And with awareness, you can start to take small and realistic steps forward. You do not need big changes. Even small steps can help you move again. And here is the best part. While we are doing all of this inner work, you are also improving your English. You are learning real vocabulary that people actually use. You are listening to natural sentence patterns. You are hearing expressions that are common in real conversations, not just in textbooks. This is how fluency really grows. Not fast. Not with pressure. Not with stress. but slowly and naturally, through meaningful topics that connect to your real life and real feelings. As you continue listening, I want you to think about your own life. Can you remember a time when you felt stuck? What was happening in your life at that moment? How did it feel in your body? Did you feel tired, heavy, tense, or restless? And if you feel stuck right now, what do you hope will change in the future? Keep these thoughts quietly in your mind as we continue. This is your time. Time for English practice. Time for self-reflection. And time for finding a little more clarity in your personal journey. Now, let us ask an important question. Why do we feel stuck? Sometimes you can be very active. You do many things every single day. But still, you do not feel like you're going anywhere. This creates a strange and heavy feeling. You are busy, but not satisfied. You are moving, but not growing. It is like running on a treadmill at the gym. Your legs are moving quickly. You are sweating and working hard. But when you look around, you are still in the same place. No matter how much effort you use, you have not truly moved forward. That feeling of not moving anywhere is exactly what being stuck feels like. And here is something interesting about it. Feeling stuck does not always arrive suddenly. It does not always come with a clear warning. Very often, it comes quietly. It grows slowly over time. At first, you may not notice it at all. Then one day, you wake up and realize that something has changed. You feel tired, unmotivated, or confused. You cannot clearly explain why you feel this way. When other people ask you what is wrong, you may not know what to say. But inside, something feels off. Something does not feel right, even if everything looks normal on the outside. Sometimes, feeling stuck feels like waiting for something to happen, even though you do not know what that something is. You are waiting, but there is no clear goal. You continue living your daily life, doing what you usually do. But inside, it feels like you are holding your breath, expecting something new to arrive. You are hoping for change, but the change never comes. People can feel stuck in many different areas of life. Let us look at some common examples. The first example is feeling stuck in your career. For many people, the problem is their job. Maybe they have been in the same position for many years. Every day feels exactly the same. You wake up, go to work, come home, and then repeat the same routine again and again. At the beginning, the job may have felt fine. It may even have felt exciting. But slowly, over time, that excitement disappears. Now, instead of feeling interested or motivated, the person feels tired, bored, or even trapped. They want something to change. They dream about doing something different or starting something new. But they do not know what kind of change they want, and that makes them afraid. Leaving the job feels risky and dangerous. Staying in the job feels heavy and uncomfortable. It is like sitting in a closed room where the air feels thick and hard to breathe. You want to open a window and let fresh air come in. You know you need change, but you do not know which window to open or how to open it. The second example is feeling stuck in relationships. Some people feel stuck in their relationships with family members, friends, or romantic partners. Maybe they have the same arguments again and again. The same problems keep returning and nothing really changes. Other times, people feel lonely even when they are surrounded by others. They may be with family or friends, but they still feel disconnected inside. Sometimes they want more closeness, warmth, and understanding, but they do not know how to ask for it. They may be afraid of being misunderstood or rejected. At other times, they want more space and freedom, but they do not know how to take that space without hurting the people they care about. Inside, they feel frozen. They feel unable to move forward, but also unable to step away. They feel caught in the middle, not knowing what direction to take. The third example of feeling stuck is personal growth. Many people feel stuck inside themselves, even when their life looks fine from the outside. They have big dreams, strong goals, and exciting ideas. Maybe they want to learn new skills, start a personal project, build more confidence, or take better care of their health and well-being. However, instead of starting, they keep waiting. They wait for the right time. They wait for the perfect moment. They tell themselves they will begin when they feel more ready, when they have more time, more money, or more support from others. But here's the problem. That perfect moment almost never arrives. Life is never completely ready or perfect. Because they keep waiting, they stay in the same place. Days pass. Weeks pass. Months pass. Slowly, their dreams begin to feel farther and farther away. What once felt exciting now feels distant, and sometimes even impossible. This makes the feeling of being stuck even stronger. Feeling stuck also happens very often in English learning. Many language learners experience this, especially with speaking English. You may be able to read well, understand grammar, and even pass exams. On paper, it looks like you are doing great. But when it is time to speak, everything changes. Your mind suddenly feels empty. You freeze. You ask yourself, why can I understand English, but I cannot speak fluently? You start to feel shy and nervous. You worry about making mistakes. You feel uncomfortable when people listen to you or look at you while you speak. Because of these fears, you choose to stay quiet. You avoid speaking situations. But the more silent you become, the more stuck you feel. This creates a cycle. You do not speak because you feel stuck, and you feel stuck because you do not speak. The cycle repeats again and again, and it becomes very frustrating. There is another important situation to talk about. Sometimes, feeling stuck has nothing to do with your job, your relationships, or even your English skills. Sometimes, the feeling comes from inside you. It is not about what you are doing in life. It is about how you feel inside. Maybe you have lost your sense of direction. You do not really know what you want anymore. Or maybe you are waiting to feel confident, waiting for the right opportunity, waiting until life feels easier or clearer. But here is an important truth. Waiting can slowly become a habit. And while you are waiting, time does not stop. Days move forward. Weeks and months pass. Life continues. But you feel like you are standing still. At some point, you may look around and ask yourself an important question. Why am I not moving forward? You may even say to yourself, I don't know what is wrong with me. These thoughts can feel heavy and confusing, but they are also a sign that something inside you is asking for attention and change. If you have ever had these thoughts, please know this. You are not alone. Every human being feels this way at some point in life. Feeling stuck does not mean that something is wrong with you. It does not mean you are broken or weak. It simply means that something inside you needs attention. Feeling stuck is a signal. It is like a quiet whisper from inside your mind and heart. It is telling you to slow down, to look more closely at your life, and to notice what needs to change. Sometimes it is asking you to find courage. Other times it is asking you to let go of something that no longer helps you. You can think of feeling stuck like standing at a red traffic light. You want to move forward. You feel ready to go. But the light says, wait. You are still. You are paused. The question is not why you want to move, but what is stopping you. Maybe what is stopping you is fear. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of failing. Maybe it is uncertainty. You do not know which direction is right. Or maybe it is pressure. There are too many choices and you feel overwhelmed. So instead of choosing, you wait. And you keep waiting. But here is an important truth. The light will not turn green by itself. Nothing changes unless you notice what is really stopping you and decide how to move forward. Awareness comes first. Action comes next, even if that action is small. So let us pause here for a moment. Think about your own life right now. Where do you feel stuck? Is it in your job? Is it in your confidence? Is it in your English speaking skills? Is it a goal you keep avoiding? Or is it a decision you keep delaying again and again? Take a moment to reflect. If you can, write it down. Giving a name to the problem is very powerful. When you name it, it becomes clearer. And clarity is the first step toward change. Before we continue, I want to ask you two very important questions. How long have you felt this way? And what do you think is holding you back? These questions are not easy. They may feel uncomfortable, but asking them honestly is how movement begins. When you understand where you are right now, you can start to imagine where you want to go next. You do not need to know the full path. You only need to see the next small step. Remember this. Feeling stuck is not the end of the road. It does not mean you are lost forever. Instead, it is a message. It is a signal from your mind and heart saying, pause, look inside, and take your next step. Even if that next step feels very small, it still matters. Small steps create movement. Movement creates confidence. And confidence helps you grow. Now that we understand what it feels like to be stuck, the next step is to explore why it happens. Why do we sometimes stop moving forward, even when we want to change? Why do we sometimes feel like we cannot move forward, even when we really want to change? There is not just one simple answer. There are many reasons. Some reasons come from outside of us. These can include society, our environment, pressure from others, or difficult life situations that we cannot easily control. But most of the time, the strongest reasons come from inside us. They come from our own thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. And here is some very good news. If the problem starts inside you, then the solution can also start inside you. This means you have more power than you think you do. Let's look at some of the most common reasons why people get stuck. The first reason is fear of failure. This is one of the strongest reasons people stop themselves from moving forward. Fear of failure often sounds like a small voice inside your head. That voice says things like, don't try. You might fail. People might laugh at you. You might not be good enough. Imagine you have a new idea. Maybe you want to apply for a better job. Maybe you want to start a small business. Or maybe you simply want to practice speaking English in front of other people. At first, you feel excited and hopeful. But then fear appears. Fear whispers questions into your mind. What if you fail? What if people laugh at you? What if you are not ready yet? Because of these thoughts, you choose not to act. You stay where you are because it feels safer. You believe you are protecting yourself. But there is a hidden cost. By staying safe, you also lose the chance to grow. You lose the chance to learn something new. The truth is this. Fear of failure does not stop bad things from happening. It only stops good things from happening. It may keep you comfortable, but it also keeps you small. The second reason people get stuck is perfectionism. Perfectionism is the belief that everything must be perfect, or it is not worth doing at all. People who struggle with perfectionism set very high standards for themselves. If something is not completely correct, they feel like they have failed. So what usually happens? Instead of taking action, they spend a lot of time planning. They prepare, think, imagine, and worry. They wait until everything feels perfect. But they never actually start. Action is always delayed. This is very common with English learners. Many learners wait to speak until they believe their grammar is perfect, their pronunciation is perfect, and their vocabulary is perfect. They tell themselves, I will speak when I am ready. But that moment never really comes. Perfectionism feels smart and careful, but it is actually a trap. It creates delay. It creates fear. And over time, it creates the feeling of being stuck. Progress does not come from being perfect. It comes from trying, making mistakes, and learning step by step. Understanding these inner reasons is very important. When you can see what is holding you back, you can begin to change your relationship with fear and perfection. And that is how real movement begins. Perfect English does not exist. This is an important truth. No one, absolutely no one, speaks perfectly all the time. Not even native speakers. Native speakers make mistakes, forget words, and change sentences while speaking. So if you wait until your English is perfect before you speak, you may end up waiting forever. That is why taking small and imperfect action is always better than waiting for perfection. Speaking with mistakes helps you improve. Silence does not. Progress comes from using the language, not from waiting to be flawless. The third common reason people get stuck is overthinking. Overthinking happens when your mind keeps moving, but your life does not. You think again and again, but you do not take action. You want the perfect plan, the perfect answer, and the perfect time. But instead of giving you clarity, all this thinking makes you more confused and tired. Overthinking is like standing at a crossroads with many roads in front of you. You want to choose the best road. But instead of choosing one and starting to walk, you stand there thinking, I need to be completely sure before I move. While you are waiting to be sure, time keeps passing. The world moves forward, but you stay in the same place. Let me share a short example. A friend of mine once wanted to move to a new city to study. She was excited at first. She started researching schools and programs. She compared different cities. She read reviews, watched videos, and asked many people for advice. Days passed. Then weeks passed. Then months passed. She still could not decide which city or school was the best choice. She wanted to be completely sure before making a decision. But because she was afraid of choosing the wrong option, she made no choice at all. In the end, she did not move anywhere. She stayed exactly where she was. This is the danger of overthinking. While you are trying to make the perfect decision, life continues without you. And staying still often feels worse than making a small mistake. The fourth reason people get stuck is comparing themselves to others. This is very common today. We live in a world where we can see other people's lives all the time, especially through social media. Every day, we scroll through our phones and see images of people traveling, achieving success, smiling with their families, building careers, learning new skills, and celebrating big moments. When we see these images, it is easy to start comparing. We look at our own lives and think we are behind. We think others are doing better, moving faster, or living more exciting lives. This comparison can make us feel small, slow, or not good enough. But what we often forget is that we are only seeing part of the story. People usually share their best moments, not their struggles. They do not show their fear, doubt, or hard days. When you compare your real life to someone else's highlight moments, it is easy to feel stuck and discouraged. Comparison takes away your focus. Instead of moving forward in your own path, you stop and look at others. And when you stop too long, you stop moving at all. We often see people celebrating big achievements and important milestones. When we see this again and again, it becomes very easy to ask ourselves difficult questions. We may think, why am I not there yet? Or, what is wrong with me? We may wonder why other people's lives seem to be moving forward while our own life feels slow or stuck. But there is something very important to remember. When we compare ourselves to others, we are usually comparing our real life to someone else's highlight reel. A highlight reel is like a movie trailer. It only shows the best, most exciting moments. It does not show the boring days, the hard work, the failures, or the pain behind the scenes. Social media works in the same way. People usually share their happiest moments, their successes, and their best photos. They rarely show their struggles, doubts, fears, or tears. They do not show the nights when they feel lost or unsure. So when we compare our full, real life to what we see online, we are not comparing reality to reality. We are comparing our everyday life to a carefully chosen picture. This kind of comparison can make us feel behind, even when we are actually doing fine. It can slowly damage our confidence. Even if you are making progress, you might feel like it is not enough because someone else appears to be further ahead. And when you feel behind for too long, you may lose motivation. Sometimes, people stop trying completely because they believe they will never catch up. The fifth and final common reason people feel stuck is a lack of clear goals or direction. Sometimes, feeling stuck has nothing to do with fear or comparison. Sometimes it is simply because we do not know what we truly want. You may feel like you should be doing something more with your life. Something bigger. Something better. But when you try to explain what that something is, you cannot find the words. The idea feels unclear and confusing. Because you do not know where you want to go, you continue doing the same things every day. This is like driving a car without a destination. The car is moving, but it is not going anywhere meaningful. Without a clear direction, movement feels empty. You may stay busy, but you do not feel satisfied or excited. This situation often happens during times of change. For example, after finishing school, changing jobs, or ending an important chapter of life. Suddenly, there are too many choices, or sometimes no clear choices at all. Without a goal, it is very hard to feel motivated. It is difficult to take action when you are not sure what you are moving toward. When you do not know your direction, every step feels uncertain. You may start many things but finish none of them. Or you may avoid starting anything at all because you are afraid of choosing the wrong path. Feeling stuck in this way does not mean you are lazy or unmotivated. It simply means you need clarity. Once you begin to understand what matters to you and what kind of life you want to build, movement becomes easier. Even a small sense of direction can help you take your next step forward. Sometimes, people feel stuck because they do not know what they are trying to do. They take action, but they are not sure what the action is for. That is why setting goals, even small ones, can be very powerful. Goals give your life structure, direction, and meaning. They're like a map. Even if you do not know the whole journey, a small goal can show you the next step. A small goal helps you start moving instead of staying in the same place. It gives your actions a purpose and helps you feel like you are making progress. Now, we have looked at 5 of the most common reasons people feel stuck. These are fear of failure, perfectionism, overthinking, comparing yourself to others, and not having clear goals. Each one of these reasons can stop you from moving forward. Take a moment to think about which one feels most true for you right now. Ask yourself, is fear holding me back? Am I waiting for everything to be perfect before I start? Do I spend too much time thinking and not enough time doing? Do I compare myself to others and feel like I am behind? Or am I unsure about what I want, so I keep repeating the same routines? Whatever your answer is, it is okay. There is nothing wrong with you. Feeling stuck is a normal human experience. It does not mean you are lazy. It does not mean you are weak. It means you are human, and like all humans, you are learning how to move forward in your own way, at your own pace. The most important thing is not to judge yourself. Instead, notice what is holding you back. Once you see what is stopping you, you can start taking steps to change it, even small ones. Another thing that quietly affects many people is self-doubt. Self-doubt is the little voice inside your head that questions everything you do. It whispers things like, "You are not ready," or "You are not smart enough," or "Other people can do it, but not you." At first, it may seem small, but if you listen to it too much, it can grow stronger. Self-doubt builds invisible walls around you. These walls feel heavy and real, even though they are not actually there. They stop you from trying new things, taking risks, or believing in yourself. The tricky part is that these walls are not physical. You cannot see them, but they feel strong. They make you feel stuck, like something is holding you down even when no one else is. The good news is that self-doubt can be noticed and changed. Once you see these invisible walls and recognize the thoughts that build them, you can start to take small steps to break them down. You do not need to be perfect, and you do not need to wait for fear or doubt to disappear completely. Each step forward, no matter how small, helps you move past the walls and makes the feeling of being stuck smaller and smaller. Sometimes, we feel trapped by our own thoughts. Imagine you want to speak English more often. You've learned new words, practiced grammar, and feel ready to try. But just before you speak, a quiet voice inside your head starts to worry. What if I make a mistake? What if they don't understand me? That small voice of doubt makes you stay silent. You play it safe, but over time, your confidence shrinks. Every time you stay quiet, the invisible walls of doubt grow higher. This voice often comes from what are called limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are thoughts that tell you what you cannot do. For example, "I'm not good enough," "It's too late for me," or "I'll never speak English fluently." These thoughts feel real, but they are not facts. They are ideas that can hold you back. Sometimes, these beliefs don't even start with you. They come from things that happened in your past. Maybe a teacher once said you weren't talented. Maybe someone laughed at your accent. Maybe your family or environment made you feel small or not capable. Little by little, these moments can turn into beliefs. And once a belief is inside your mind, it can shape how you see yourself and what you think is possible. But here is an important truth. Just because you believe something doesn't make it true. You can challenge these thoughts. You can teach your mind to think differently. This is where the idea of a growth mindset comes in. A growth mindset is the belief that you can improve with time, effort, and practice. It means your abilities are not fixed, they can grow. People with a growth mindset don't say, "I'm not good at this." They say, "I'm not good at this yet." That small word, yet, makes a big difference. It gives you room to learn. It gives you permission to be a beginner. And being willing to be a beginner is exactly where real progress begins. Mistakes are also a part of learning. In some places, mistakes are seen as bad or embarrassing. But mistakes are actually helpful. They show you what to fix and where to try again. Every mistake is a step toward improvement. If you never make mistakes, it usually means you are not challenging yourself. The more you practice, the more mistakes you make, and the more you grow. So, the key is to notice the quiet voice of doubt and understand it does not control you. Limiting beliefs can be challenged. Your skills and confidence can grow. With a growth mindset, mistakes are not failures, they are lessons. And every small step forward builds stronger walls of confidence instead of walls of fear. Remember, it's not about being perfect from the start. It's about starting, learning, making mistakes, and believing that you can always improve. You are not trapped by your past experiences or what you think you cannot do. You are capable of learning, growing, and becoming better, one step at a time. Many people feel ashamed or embarrassed when they make mistakes. From a young age, we are often taught that only perfect answers are praised. We learn that it is safer to stay quiet than to risk being wrong. Because of this, trying something new can feel scary. We may worry about what others think or fear making a fool of ourselves. But here's an important truth. Mistakes are not your enemy. In fact, mistakes are some of the best teachers you can have. When you try something, make a mistake, and then fix it, your learning becomes much stronger. Real growth happens through trial and error, not through perfection. I want to share a story from my teaching experience to show this in action. I once had a student who rarely spoke in class. On paper, she was excellent. Her grammar exercises were always neat and correct. But when it came to speaking, she froze completely. One day, I asked her why she stayed so quiet. She admitted softly, "I'm afraid of looking stupid." We talked about fear, learning, and the idea of growth. Slowly, she started to see that speaking English isn't about being perfect, it's about being brave. Little by little, she began to take small risks. At first, she answered short, simple questions. Then, she joined small group discussions. Her English was far from perfect, but her progress was amazing. Why did she improve? Because she changed her mindset. She stopped waiting to be perfect and started focusing on being brave enough to try. Her mistakes became lessons, not failures. She learned that action and courage are more important than perfection. Now, think about yourself for a moment. What beliefs do you have about your own abilities? Do you think you can grow, or do you feel stuck the way you are? Do mistakes make you stop, or do you use them as stepping stones to move forward? It's normal to feel self-doubt. Everyone experiences it sometimes, but self-doubt does not have to control you. You can learn to speak kindly to yourself. You can choose to believe in your ability to learn, change, and improve. Your mindset is like the soil where your future grows. If you plant seeds of doubt, fear, and hesitation, that is what will grow. But if you plant seeds of courage, curiosity, and determination, you will grow confidence, skills, and success. Every choice you make about how you think and respond helps shape what grows in your life. There's one more thing that often holds people back: thinking too much before acting, also called analysis paralysis. When you overthink, you wait for the perfect moment that may never come. You might know what to do, but fear or doubt makes you pause, and eventually you do nothing. This stops growth because learning only happens when you try. Taking small steps, even if they are imperfect, is always better than doing nothing at all. The courage to start, the willingness to make mistakes, and the mindset to keep going are the real keys to progress. Remember the student in my story. She didn't begin as confident or fluent. She started by being brave, step by step. You can do the same. Start small, make mistakes, learn, and grow. Every tiny action builds momentum, and over time, those small steps lead to big changes. The important thing is to believe in your potential, not in your limitations. There's a common trap that keeps many people stuck, and it has a long name: analysis paralysis. It sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Analysis paralysis happens when you think so much about what to do that you never actually take action. You plan, imagine, and worry about every option, and before you know it, you are stuck. You're not lazy or unmotivated. You're just frozen because your own thoughts are overwhelming you. Many people experience this in everyday life. Have you ever wanted to start something new, like learning a skill, applying for a new job, or practicing English more often? At first, you feel motivated. You're excited about the possibilities. But then your mind starts asking too many questions. What is the best way to do this? Should I take a class or study alone? Should I watch videos online or buy a course? What if I make the wrong choice? As you try to answer these questions, you begin researching. You compare options, read reviews, and ask for advice. Days pass, then weeks, and in the end, you realize that you still haven't started. That is exactly what analysis paralysis feels like. Why does it feel so hard to move forward? Think of it like standing at a crossroads with many paths ahead. You want to choose the perfect path, so you think and think. But while you are thinking, you are not moving. You are standing in place. The longer you wait, the heavier the first step feels. The pressure grows and fear builds. You start worrying about making the wrong choice, and soon you feel completely stuck. In English, we sometimes say, "You're stuck in your own head." That means your thoughts are running in circles, and you can't find a way out. I've experienced this myself. I remember a time when I wanted to start a podcast, something very much like the one you're listening to now. I was excited about it and full of ideas. But instead of starting, I spent weeks overthinking every detail. I wondered which topic to choose, how to record, which platform to use, how to edit, and what people would think. Every question seemed important. Every decision felt too big. And in the end, I hadn't even recorded a single episode. I was frozen by my own thoughts. The truth is, overthinking often feels like a safety mechanism. You tell yourself that if you plan carefully and think it through, you will avoid mistakes. But ironically, overthinking prevents you from learning and improving at all. You can think endlessly, but progress only happens when you act. Mistakes are part of the process, and the only way to move forward is to take the first imperfect step. Breaking free from analysis paralysis requires action. Start small, even if it isn't perfect. Choose one step and do it, rather than waiting for the perfect plan. Every small action creates momentum, and the more you do, the easier it becomes to take the next step. Remember, nothing grows without starting. You can plan and research all you want, but real growth begins with action. So, if you notice yourself thinking too much, stuck in your head, take a breath and do something, even a small thing. Speak one sentence in English. Send one email. Record one idea. That first step is the hardest, but it is also the most important. Once you begin, the path becomes clearer. Analysis paralysis loses its power the moment you start moving. I remember spending weeks preparing to start a podcast. I looked at microphones, trying to find the perfect one. I searched for the perfect topic. I researched the perfect platform. I kept telling myself, I'll start once I'm ready. But here's the truth. That moment of being fully ready never came. The problem wasn't the microphone or the platform. The real problem was fear. I was afraid of making mistakes, so I stayed in planning mode. Finally, I realized something important. There is no perfect plan. There is only progress. Waiting for the perfect time or perfect conditions keeps you from starting, but taking small steps moves you forward. You don't have to be flawless. You just have to begin. This happens a lot with people learning English, too. Some learners spend months choosing the best textbook, the best app, or the best grammar guide. Others keep saying, I'll start speaking after one more course, or I'll practice when my vocabulary is better. But the perfect moment never comes. The truth is simple. The best way to improve is to start using English. Even if it's messy, even if it's slow, even if it's not perfect, overthinking feels safe. When you research, plan, and prepare, it seems like you are making progress. You feel busy and productive. But thinking without action is not real progress. It's like standing at the edge of a swimming pool. You read books about swimming. You watch videos about swimming. You plan your moves in your head. But if you never jump into the water, you never learn to swim. Knowledge is helpful, but only action brings real change. So, let's reflect a little. Where in your life are you overthinking? Is there a decision you've been delaying? A goal you keep postponing because you want everything to be perfect? Are you spending more time thinking than actually doing? If the answer is yes, don't worry. You're not alone. Everyone does this at some point. The key is awareness. Once you notice that you are overthinking, you can take action. Start small. Take one step. It doesn't have to be perfect. Write one paragraph, speak one sentence, send one message, or practice for 5 minutes. That small step is the start of real progress. Each action builds confidence. Each mistake teaches something new. Each small success encourages the next step. The most important lesson here is that progress, not perfection, leads to growth. Waiting for the perfect moment is an illusion. There is no perfect moment. There is only now and the actions you take today. When you begin, you start learning. You start improving. You start moving toward your goals. Remember, overthinking can feel safe because it hides fear. But real learning, real growth, and real change happen when you move, even if it feels scary or imperfect. Your first step is the hardest, but it is also the most important. Once you start, momentum builds, and the path becomes easier to follow. Action beats fear. Action beats doubt. Action is what turns knowledge into real results. Once you notice the pattern of overthinking, you can start to break free from it. You can choose to take action, even if it's a small and imperfect step. Action, not endless thinking, is what moves you forward. Here's something simple to try the next time you feel stuck in your own thoughts. Pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Then ask yourself, what is one small action I can take right now? It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be big. Even the smallest action matters because small steps add up over time. Step by step, these little actions lead to big changes. Remember this. Your thoughts are important, but they are not the boss of you. You don't have to let overthinking control your life. Don't let endless thinking stop you from doing what you want. Don't let it stop you from speaking the English you dream of speaking. Start where you are, use what you already have, do what you can, and most importantly, take action. Now, let's talk about another trap, the myth of motivation. Many people believe that you need to feel motivated before you can begin. They think action comes after excitement, energy, or inspiration. They wait for the perfect feeling to start doing something important. But here's the truth. That feeling doesn't always come. And if you wait for it, you might wait forever. The idea that you must feel ready before starting is just a myth. Of course, motivation feels nice. When you are excited about a goal, everything seems easier. But motivation is like the weather, it changes. Some days you feel strong, full of energy, and ready to go. Other days you feel tired, busy, or distracted. That is completely normal. Everyone experiences this. Motivation comes and goes. So, what really makes a difference? Not motivation. The real secret is consistency. Consistency means doing something regularly, even when you don't feel like it, even when you aren't excited, even when the perfect moment hasn't arrived. Real progress comes from small steps taken repeatedly over time. That is how skills are built, habits are formed, and goals are achieved. Think about English learning, for example. Some learners wait for a motivated day to practice speaking. They say, "I'll practice tomorrow when I feel ready," or "I'll write this essay when I feel inspired." But those days don't always come. The key is to practice every day, even in small ways. Speak one sentence, read one paragraph, or write one short note. Day by day, these small actions accumulate, and before you know it, you have made real progress. The lesson is simple. Waiting for the perfect moment or perfect motivation is a trap. Action is what counts. Consistent, small actions create results. Motivation can help you start, but consistency keeps you moving. Small steps, repeated regularly, overcome fear, doubt, and overthinking. Small actions build confidence. Small steps lead to big achievements. So the next time you feel stuck, ask yourself, what is one small thing I can do right now? Take that step. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to wait to feel motivated. You don't have to wait for the right moment. Start now, start small, and keep going. That is how real growth happens. That is how dreams become reality. Let's talk about how real change happens. It doesn't come from waiting to feel ready or motivated. Real change happens by taking small actions again and again, even when you don't feel like it. Action, repeated over time, is what creates progress and growth. Let's use learning English as an example. Many learners say, "I'll start speaking when I feel more confident." But confidence doesn't just appear one day. Confidence grows through action. You cannot think yourself into confidence. You have to act your way into it. Here's how it works. You try speaking English. You make mistakes. You learn from them. You try again. Slowly, your brain begins to understand, "Hey, I can do this." That is how confidence grows. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you will never begin. What does ready really mean? Perfect grammar? A huge vocabulary? Zero mistakes? If that's your definition, you'll never start. Even fluent speakers make mistakes. The difference is not perfection, it's practice. There's an English expression, "Don't wait for the stars to align." It means don't wait for the perfect moment when everything feels easy and clear. Life is rarely perfect. Things are often messy, uncertain, or uncomfortable, and that's okay. The powerful choice is to start anyway, even in the middle of the mess. Think about exercise. Imagine you want to go to the gym. If you only go when you feel motivated, you probably won't go very often. But if you build a habit, going at the same time on certain days, you don't need motivation. You just show up. Over time, the habit changes your body and mind. The same is true with learning English. If you only study when you are in the mood, your progress will be slow. But if you create a small routine, listening to a podcast 3 times a week, repeating what you hear, writing a short journal in English, or speaking out loud for 5 minutes a day, you will grow. Not because you were always motivated, but because you were consistent. Small, repeated actions lead to real improvement. This is why starting matters more than feeling ready. Every tiny step counts. Every small practice builds skills, confidence, and momentum. Your mistakes are not failures. They are lessons that guide you. Your effort, repeated over time, creates results. So, here's a question for you. Where in your life are you waiting for the perfect moment? Is there something you want to start, but you're holding back because you don't feel ready? The key is to take action anyway. Begin small, begin imperfectly, but begin now. Action builds confidence, consistency builds progress, and both together lead to growth. Remember, waiting for motivation or perfection is a trap. Growth comes from starting, from trying, and from doing the work step by step. Small actions repeated over time add up to big results. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. Start where you are, use what you have, and take that first small step today. Are you waiting to feel ready before starting something important in your life? What if you stopped waiting and just started anyway? You don't need a big plan or perfect conditions. One small step today can make a difference. Even if you don't feel motivated, it doesn't have to be huge. For example, if you are learning English, you could write one short sentence. Say one phrase out loud. Record your voice for just 30 seconds. That's all. One small action is enough to get started. Here's the magic. One small step often leads to another, and then another. Before you know it, you've already begun your journey. Motivation feels good, but it is not the foundation. What really matters is action. Action is movement. Action is showing up even when you don't feel like it. Action is what creates growth and leads to change. Waiting for the perfect moment or perfect feeling keeps you stuck. The good news is that the perfect time is now. Don't wait for the stars to align. Don't wait for motivation. Just begin here and now with whatever you have. You may be surprised at how far a single small step can take you. Now that we understand why we get stuck, let's focus on how to get unstuck. The good news is you don't need a giant plan. You don't need a perfect solution. You don't need to change your whole life. Most of the time, getting unstuck starts with one small step. From there, things begin to move forward slowly, but surely. Here are some simple, practical steps you can try. Even if your progress is tiny or slow, it's still progress. Remember, it's about progress, not perfection. 1. Set a tiny goal. Start with one small, clear goal, not a big, overwhelming one. Examples. If you feel stuck in learning English, you could say, I will listen to English for 10 minutes every morning, or I will learn 3 new words today. If you feel stuck in your personal life, your goal could be equally small. Write a short note to someone, clean one corner of your room, or take a 5-minute walk. The important thing is that the goal is tiny and doable. Small actions are powerful because they are easy to start, and starting is the hardest part. Each small step builds momentum and confidence. Once you complete your tiny goal, give yourself credit. Celebrate it. That feeling of accomplishment encourages the next step. Slowly, step by step, you build consistency. You build confidence. You start moving forward even when life feels messy or uncertain. Small steps also reduce fear. When a goal feels too big, it can feel impossible. But when you break it into small pieces, it becomes manageable. You begin to see that action is possible, even when you are scared or unsure. This is the real key to getting unstuck. Start small, start now, and keep moving forward. So, think about one tiny step you can take today. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be big. Just one small action, right now, is enough to begin. Start today. Take that step. Action is the spark that lights the path forward. One step leads to another, and soon you will see progress you didn't think was possible. Another way to get unstuck is by taking small, practical steps. These don't have to be big or overwhelming. Tiny actions are often the most powerful. 1. Set tiny goals. Start with something very small and achievable. For example, you could say, I will go for a 15-minute walk, or I will clean just one part of my room. Tiny goals are powerful because you can actually complete them. When you finish a small goal, you feel good about yourself. That positive feeling gives you energy, and suddenly you want to do more. Small wins build momentum and help you move forward step by step. 2. Break your routine. Sometimes we feel stuck because every day looks the same. We wake up, do the same things, and think the same thoughts. Our minds get tired, and life starts to feel heavy. You don't need to make a huge change. Just change one small thing in your day. Try a new coffee shop. Walk a different route home. Listen to music in a different language. Even small changes help your brain wake up and see life differently. They remind you that change is possible, even in small ways, and that spark can get you moving again. 3. Talk to someone. When we feel stuck, we often stay quiet and keep everything inside. But talking to someone you trust can help more than you think. This could be a friend, family member, teacher, coach, or a therapist. Talking helps you organize your thoughts. Sometimes, just saying things out loud makes the problem feel smaller. Other times, the person you talk to gives you a new idea or perspective you hadn't thought about. You don't have to solve everything alone. Sharing your thoughts is a powerful way to feel lighter and find solutions. 4. Reflect and journal. Writing in a journal is like having a conversation with yourself. You can write about how you feel, what you are thinking, what you wish would change, or one small thing you want to try. Seeing your thoughts on paper stops them from spinning endlessly in your mind. You can look at them more clearly and start to see solutions. You don't need to be a great writer or worry about perfect grammar. Just write your thoughts as they come. You could ask yourself simple questions like, what is one small thing I can do today to feel better? Or what step can I take toward my goal right now? Journaling helps you plan your next step and gives you clarity. These small steps, tiny goals, breaking routines, talking to someone, and journaling may seem simple, but together they create real movement. They give you momentum, confidence, and the feeling that progress is possible. Step by step, even when progress feels slow, you begin to move forward. You begin to get unstuck. The key is action over perfection. You don't need a big plan or a perfect solution. You just need one small step today. One tiny step leads to another, and before you know it, your journey has already begun. Even small actions add up over time, and slow progress is still progress. Remember, you don't need to change your entire life to start moving forward. You just need to start somewhere right now with whatever you have. Tiny, consistent steps create lasting change, and that's how you get unstuck. Sometimes it's hard to know exactly what we are feeling or why we feel stuck. One way to understand yourself better is by writing in a journal. You can ask yourself questions like, what am I feeling right now? Or, why do I feel stuck? You can write in your first language if that feels easier, or in English if you want to practice. Writing in English helps you learn new words and also notice your feelings at the same time. When you write your thoughts down, they often feel lighter, like a weight has been lifted. You might start to see patterns in your thoughts, notice fears, or recognize ideas and emotions you didn't realize were there before. The next important step is to take action, even if it's not perfect. Many people wait until everything feels perfect before doing something, but this only stops progress. You don't need to wait. Even a small action counts. For example, if you want to speak better English, just say one sentence out loud today. If you want to feel healthier, drink a glass of water or take a short walk. If you want to build a new habit, start with only 2 minutes. The key is to actually do something, no matter how small, messy, or imperfect it is. Taking imperfect action is powerful. It helps you see that progress is possible. It shows you that moving forward is more important than doing things perfectly. At first, small actions may not feel like they make a difference. You might even feel like you're not going anywhere. But there's a secret. Small steps add up. Step by step, you create momentum. Momentum is the feeling of moving forward. The more small actions you take, the easier it becomes to keep going. When you continue even through small steps, your confidence grows. You begin to believe that you can improve and reach your goals. It's important to know that progress is not always visible right away. Some days you might feel like nothing is changing. That's completely normal. Even when it feels slow, staying consistent is what matters. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep doing small things, even when you are tired, even when you doubt yourself. Repeating small efforts over time leads to big results. Now, take a moment and ask yourself, what is one small thing I can do today to move forward? It doesn't have to be big or impressive. It can be tiny, but it has to be real. One short conversation, one small habit, one tiny goal, anything that moves you forward is enough. Remember, action doesn't need to be perfect. What matters is starting. What matters is moving, even slowly. Every step, no matter how small, creates energy. Every small action builds confidence and pushes you toward progress. Even if you don't see it immediately, keep going. Small steps repeated every day can change your life. So pick one thing right now and do it. Don't wait. Your future self will thank you. Feeling stuck can be frustrating. It can make you feel lost, tired, or unsure about what to do next. But here's something very important to remember. Stuck is not forever. Even if it feels like nothing is changing, even if life feels heavy or slow, this is not the end of your story. Feeling stuck doesn't mean you are broken. It doesn't mean you are failing. Most of the time, it just means something new is about to begin. Life sometimes slows down. There are quiet seasons when it feels like nothing is moving. These moments can feel frustrating. You might ask yourself, why isn't anything working? Or, what am I doing wrong? But maybe the stillness has a purpose. Maybe it is preparing you for what comes next. There's a saying, the darkest hour is just before dawn. This means that life often feels hardest right before things start to get better. Even if the night seems very dark, the light is coming. You just can't see it yet. The same happens in life. Sometimes when we feel stuck, we are actually in the middle of a transformation. We just don't notice it because it takes time. Look at nature. A seed stays underground for a long time before it grows into a plant. A caterpillar stays inside a cocoon before it becomes a butterfly. That time of waiting, of silence, of stillness, it is not wasted. It is part of the process. Your life works in the same way. Feeling stuck might mean you are about to grow. Something inside you is getting ready to change. Think about stuck as a pause rather than a dead end. Maybe your body or your heart is asking you to slow down and pay attention. Maybe you need rest. Maybe you need reflection. Maybe something deep inside you is shifting, and it just needs time to settle. This isn't always easy to accept, especially in a world that tells us to always do more, achieve more, and move faster. But stillness has a purpose. It gives you a chance to breathe, to notice yourself, and to prepare for what comes next. Even if you feel stuck today, remember, growth often happens quietly, inside you, before you see it on the outside. You may not notice it at first. The seed is growing underground. The caterpillar is transforming inside the cocoon. Your time of stillness is like that. It is making space for the new you to emerge. So, if you feel stuck, don't panic. Don't feel like you need to rush. Allow yourself to pause. Listen to yourself. Take small steps when you can, but also give yourself permission to rest. Trust the process. Your quiet moments are not empty. They are the preparation for your next chapter. When the time is right, change will come. The light will appear. And just like the dawn after the darkest night, life will begin to move forward again. Growth doesn't always mean doing something active. Sometimes growth looks like stillness, just waiting, reflecting, or being quiet. So ask yourself, what lesson might be hidden in this moment of stillness? Maybe it's teaching you patience. Maybe it's helping you face your fear. Maybe it's showing you that the path you're on isn't the one you truly want. Or maybe it's simply reminding you to reconnect with yourself before moving forward again. It's normal to want quick answers and fast results, but real change takes time. Often, the moments that feel hardest, slowest, or most uncomfortable are the ones that shape us the most. If you are in one of these difficult moments right now, if you feel stuck or lost, remember, dawn is coming. Keep going. Keep showing up. Keep trusting that this season has a purpose, even if you can't see it yet. The same is true for learning English or any new skill. Fluency, like personal growth, is not a straight line. Some days you will feel confident. Other days you will feel like nothing is working. But every day that you try, you are growing. Even when it feels slow, even when it feels invisible, progress is happening. Language, like life, grows through time, care, and consistency. So breathe. Give yourself grace. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are exactly where you need to be for your next step to begin. This is just a chapter of your life, not the whole story. Let's take a moment to reflect. We began by looking at that uncomfortable feeling of being stuck, the feeling when you are doing things every day, moving through life, but it seems like you're not really going forward. Maybe it feels like you're going in circles. Maybe something is holding you back, even if you don't know exactly what it is. Then we explored some reasons why this happens. Fear of failure, perfectionism, or the pressure to move faster can make us feel stuck. These feelings are normal. They don't mean you are failing. They are signs that you are growing, learning, and preparing for what comes next. During these times, small actions matter. Even tiny steps, repeated every day, build momentum. Writing in a journal, speaking one sentence in English, drinking a glass of water, or taking a short walk, anything that moves you forward is valuable. Action doesn't need to be perfect. What matters is moving at all, even if it's slowly. And sometimes the action isn't outward at all. Sometimes it's quiet, internal work. It's learning to wait, reflect, and trust yourself. Stillness is not wasted time. It's a pause that prepares you for your next step. Remember, every season has meaning. Feeling stuck or uncomfortable is temporary. Growth is happening even if you can't see it. Keep showing up. Keep trusting yourself. Keep taking small actions, learning, and breathing. Over time, these small efforts will create big change. Your story is still unfolding, and the next chapter is waiting for you.